So I'm having a chat with Matt of Busted. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. Really good. How are you, bro?
Good, yeah, not too bad. So I think the big news that we need to talk about is a new record called Greatest Hits 2.0, but it's not your standard record. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, we kind of made we it's funny because greatest hits kind of feel like irrelevant things now because before you'd buy a CD, they would have your favorite songs from the band on. It was kind of a thing. Whereas now, if you go on any kind of place where you play music, it's kind of there for you. The top 10 songs are pretty much your greatest hits.
Mm.
Whether you agree with them or not. So it was kind of like, what do we do here? What do we want? What do we want to do? And I think personally, we've always had slight issues with some of those early recordings that we wanted to rectify, and also we play them so differently live now. We were 16 when we wrote those songs. So you would hope we're better, by now. We kind of wanted to we wanted to show how we kind of do them now, really, and kind of like and record them like we play them live, and also we kind of wanted to have a bit of fun with it. So we kind of asked some of our favorite musicians, some of our favorite bands, some bands that we know were fans of Busted, some different kind of people within music that we thought would be interesting to try and collab with to come on board and do some songs with us. And so we've made two records. We've got one which is just us, which are reimagines of those songs, and one which is a feature artist, 15 feature artists on every track, which was no easy task to get 15 people to 15 different artists to kind of come on board and do something, but it was a labor of love, and we made it happen, so we're really pleased about it. We're really stoked. We've got some really interesting, great people on there.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of those people, most of those have made it on the show as well as yourself now. But how did you go about choosing which artists to ask to get on to do mostly your tracks and some of theirs as well?
Well, we had a wish list. We kind of really wanted to approach people who we'd either heard talk about Busted, or that we knew were fans, or that we really admired. And so we really went after certain people. Like, we knew James Arthur loved Busted, and we knew Charlie was friends with him. So we were like, Charlie, get on the phone to them straight away. Get on the phone to James Arthur straight away. And then we were, other bands like Simple Plan, we were massive fans of. We knew that they liked Busted, so that was kind of an easy thing. Neck Deep had kind of talked about being influenced by Busted in the early days, so it's kind of those kind of things were kind of no brainers. And then I think, like, there's one which I really love, which is Dashboard Confessional. Like, that band really kind of meant so much to me at a certain point in my life, and it was just like a risk. We're like, let's just ask them. I mean, they were so kind of like they were so important at that time in music. I think they kind of really were the forefathers of that kind of like acoustic emo kind of
Mm.
movement. And I mean, I remember seeing Dashboard live and being blown away at listening to everyone sing along. It was just like it was like a massive kind of sing along. It was it's such an incredible kind of live experience. And so we asked him, and he said yes. So most people said yes. I think we had like a 95% hit rate. And then the Jonas Brothers was the last kind of piece of the puzzle, really, because obviously they covered Year 3000 in America. They broke off that song.
Mm.
We knew that they obviously were fans of Busted, but they're so massive that you're like, how do you get to these people? So we played a gig with them before. We went on and sung Year 3000 with them. So we kind of called in a favor, really, and no one got back to us for ages. And then eventually they were the last people to come on board, the last people to record, and it was like up to the wire, really.
Mm.
And they just said, we're going to the studio to record it tomorrow. And we were so stoked because we were going to leave it blank otherwise. We didn't want anyone else but them to do it. And it was a really amazing experience. And they did a really good job.
Mm. Yeah, 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 totally agree. And you've got a new track on there, good one as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, kind of like good ones. It's really kind of a present for fans, really. We kind of like, because it's funny when you do something like 20 years, because people go, "Oh, is that it?" It's like, no, this is only the beginning. Like, and I think this is what's happened during these last couple of weeks as well. Is that I think putting 11 dates on sale and being absolutely terrified that you've got 11 arenas to
Mm.
sell, and them selling out instantly, and then adding more and adding more and adding more, and 26 arenas, which is just, honestly, mate, we don't take that for granted. We can't believe we're doing such a big tour. It's kind of, it's really given us a new lease of life in a way. It's kind of given us kind of a new a new kind of sense of confidence to kind of really go after what we want, you know. And we're nowhere near finished, you know. Like we're right now we're in a place where we feel creatively like we're sparking like never before, you know. And this was kind of a track that we had for a while, you know, kind of kicking around. So we just made it and put it on the album, you know. And it's a cool song, you know. It's a cool song, but it definitely it's a nod to what I think, you know, Busted is nowhere near finished. We are barely just begun.
Good, can't wait. And touching on your tour as well, I bet you can't wait to be playing live again.
I love it. I love nothing more than playing live. You know, touring is the one part of our life which never really changes. Like it's like everything else in the music industry changes so dramatically, like kind of constantly. And you never, I don't really know much about the music industry. Like I try and stay away from that kind of stuff. I have people who I trust, who I can listen to and their advice. I mean, I'm the only one. James and Charlie love talking about business and stuff. I just can't be asked. I just have no interest in it. But touring is something which never changes. It's just like something which, you know, it's everything about being on tour is about making sure that hour and a half you're on stage is the best show you can possibly put on. And I love that. And I take it very seriously. I want to make sure that I leave everything I've got on stage, you know. And if I do something wrong, it'll bug me for weeks, you know. So I want to make sure that we give them everything they want and everything they deserve, because we appreciate the fact that they allow us to have this career and this life that we could only dream of, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. And you've touched on now that you're kind of thinking about new music. Where have you started? Have you even started thinking about new music now and the writing process?
Yeah, like we like historically we've wrote a lot on tour. You know, that's something which has always been something that's kind of gone on for us. You know, like Charlie's got a little portable Pro Tools rig, bring on tour with us, and we'll kind of be writing constantly. And we got a little warm-up room backstage where we kind of set up as a band in a room and kind of play. I always love that because I love to play a bit before I go on stage, especially with Eddie, our drummer. I love to lock in with him a little bit before we walk on stage in front of 15,000 people. You know, so I love a little bit of a warm-up. But that's going to be really good because we can play as a band in that room. You know, I think, you know, recently in the kind of last kind of 10 years or so, everything can become so studio based, you know, which I really miss that in a room playing music vibe, you know, and I miss writing like that. You know, I miss the kind of, I'm really bored of going in, writing a song with a computer. It just bores me to tears, you know, and before you know, you're locked into a track. Like you don't even know if the song's good enough to warrant, you know, you're just like, let's just focus on making great songs again. And I think that's what we have every intention of doing, you know. So it's and that's what we've always taken seriously. We always really love writing songs that make sense to us and our fans, you know. So I think that's what I'm really looking forward to.
And yeah, definitely. And you guys kind of have the two different music styles, because you started off in more the pop rock side of things, but you kind of emigrated towards a more commercial pop sound. Going forward, is there a specific route you want to take, or is it going to be a case of simply seeing how it turns out?
I think that's the beauty of it, is that we don't really have any agenda. You know, we make music we love. You know, we always have and we always will. You know, so the first thing that has to happen is we have to love it. You know, like we made an album called Night Driver, which we hadn't been in a room together for 10 years. You know? So we wrote an album that made sense to us and we needed to make at that moment in time. It doesn't really fit in with the Busted catalog. If you listen to it on its own, it's kind of a real curveball. It really excited us and it really made sense to us. You know, and that's a real kind of like, and I think there's a real part of us in that album, you know, that we're still very much up for exploring, you know, but at the root of us is a guitar band, you know, at the root of us is a band that write on guitars and play and you know, and like we don't want to get too locked into computers anymore. You know, we kind of want to make sure that we make something that can, you know, when you take all that away, is it still a great song, you know, which I think is so important. You know?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Matt, it's been great having a chat with you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Great to speak to you, bro.